If you're a photographer with a website, one of the annoying things is when people steal your photographs and then use them online. I can't protect every single image. People can always do a screenshot and then cut it out and use it that way. But there are some things I can do that are free and very easy to implement. So that's what I'm going to show you in this little video about how you can use Cloudflare to protect your website and also to stop people from hotlinking your photographs. All right, so let's start off with what I just mentioned, hotlinking. This is kind of insidious, in my opinion. It's not a matter that they just right-clicked and downloaded your photo and then hosted it on their own website. They're actually leaving it on your website, your photographs on your website, and they link to it from their website. So every time someone looks at their article or page, it comes to your server, downloads your photograph, consumes your bandwidth and your server resources for their benefit. To me, that is probably the worst kind of theft. There's a very simple way to do that, and it's using Cloudflare. Now, this will not work if you are using a service that has their domain name. So if you're using smugmug.com or flickr.com or a photo hosting site like that, you can't get this protection because it's at a domain level. But if you do use SmugMug, for example, on your own domain, then you can get these protections. You can also do it with WordPress, Wix, Weebly, SquareSpace, anything that uses your domain. That's what Cloudflare can help you protect. So let's go ahead and we'll take a look at, I'm on my account, and let's take a look at williambeam.com. The first thing I want to show you is about protecting yourself from hotlinking. And you can come down here under your domain. So there's my domain, and this one called Scrape Shield. And right down at the bottom is something called hotlink protection. This is off by default. You have to come in here and toggle this little switch and turn it on. And that's all you need to do. You can create configuration rules where maybe you want to allow somebody to hotlink. You can specify it, but right now, by default, with this enabled, any other website that tries to link to an image on your site gets blocked. So we'll come up here to security, and we'll look at events. And here's one, hotlink protection. So this came from the United States. Somebody is trying to take this image, which I think is just a header. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go to my website and paste that in. And that's it. This is from a podcast episode that I had some years ago. Somebody is hotlinking this and putting it on their website. So when that happens, not only are they using my image, they're also using bandwidth to come to my server. They're using server resources that's hosting it and then has to deliver that image to their website. And they've probably stolen my entire post. So that's one possibility. Let's come back over here and we're going to look for a few more. So I'm going to click Add Filter. In this case, we're looking for a service. So you can see hotlink protection comes under services. So we're going to come down here and look for service. And then we'll choose hotlink protection from this list. And there it is. And we'll apply that. So all of these are folks that have been hotlinking to my site in the past 24 hours. There's 240 of them. So let's take a look at this one, just picking one out of random. How to create a photography portfolio. That looks like another blog header to me. And let's try to find, apparently they've been hitting this a few times, probably because they got blocked. And here's one from Havana. So if I choose this photo, which is a little sad because it's not exactly one of my favorites, but I'm going to delete this. I'm going to paste this in here. And that's one of my photographs. It is, could be any of my photographs, could be my blog header, could be an image of any kind or any style that someone wants to take from your website. All you need to do is have your DNS hosted with Cloudflare, and I'll show you how to do that, and turn on that little button to stop hotlinking. So right now, because of this little protection, they're no longer getting my stuff. So like I said, 240 items in the past 24 hours. And here's one from Singapore. What are they looking for? Best Godox flash. So this one, if I look at, This I know is going to be a blog post header. So if we go to Webbeam, might help if I type right. And that is a blog post header. So that's really all that's going on here, is that they are stealing this. And it's got my name and photography right up here. So I don't know why they're putting that on their site unless they are just somehow stealing maybe the entire post. But people will hotlink to any number of things, and who knows what or why. So if you want to protect yourself from hotlink thieves, Cloudflare is the easiest way to do it. It is free. And there's also a possibility that people will right-click your images. Now for WordPress, there are plugins that will prevent that. So you go to the WordPress repository and you search for, right-click image protection or something of that nature. You can find a plugin that will disable the right-clicks. For other sites, it depends on what services they offer, but that's just a possibility. But there's more to security than that. I'm going to come down here to this one that says WAF, W-A-F. That is a web application firewall. Since I use a WordPress site, I've set up some rules. And one of them I call WP protection, threat score, blocked countries, and HTTP version. So let me show you what these are. On WP protection, I'll scroll up here. These are paths into WordPress for the administrative areas. In other words, somebody who's visiting my site has no business trying to log in or get to administrative areas or using any of these functions. So basically, I set up a rule where I get the path, put it in here, and I say or. So if it's this or it's this. You can also do and, which would combine two of these together or so, but really I'm doing it one at a time. If it's any one of these things, then the action is block. Now, the problem with that is that would block myself too, except for one other thing. I come over here to tools and I've got a rule. This is my IP address that will allow me to get access to my site. So if we come over, let's open a new tab. We'll go to my sites and log into this. So you can see that it's allowing me, I get right into the WordPress site. If I come over here and turn this off, now when I go back to log in, it might take a moment for the settings to update, but I'm going to get a blocked message. So let's try that out. And that's what it looks like because I no longer have access. I need that rule that gives me access from my IP address. And this happens for anybody that I'm blocking. So they're going to see this. They try to get to a URL that I don't want them to get to. You've been blocked. Easy way to find out your IP address is there's a website called ipaddress.com. You can tell I've been there before. And it tells me my IP address. So there's the version 4. And since I'm on a fiber line, I want to use version 6. Most people are probably going to use this one. So I just come back over here. I'll click in here. I will paste in my IP address. I've got to click this. And the action is to allow. And I could do it just for this website, but I thought, well, I've got to work on all my websites. So all websites in this account, I'll click add. And then now I'll be allowed. And just like that, I'm back in. I can go ahead and log in. So that is something that you could do. And it doesn't have to be for WordPress. Remember, this is at the DNS level. So if you're using SquareSpace, Wix, Weebly, anything else that uses your domain name, you can block the path to people logging in. All right, so I've got a few other rules over here, and you can rearrange these. So this one for the threat score is something that Cloudflare does, and you can see that I don't really have much activity there. So challenge solved rate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this down because it seems to be the least important one. And I'm looking based on these numbers over here. So the next one, I block some countries. So China, Russian Federation, if they come from there, they're blocked. That doesn't mean that someone in China or Russia couldn't use a VPN to pretend to come from another country and get around this. But the ones that are just coming straight out of their own IP address, they get blocked. You could also match this with any other kind of block. So if we come back and I've got my WordPress protection that is a block, I could add the blocked countries in there and save myself one of my 5 rules. So that's just all that is. This one for HTTP version, this is something that a lot of bots are known to use HTTP version 1.0. And what I do, instead of blocking them, I give them something called a managed challenge. And what that does is it presents them with something to test. Is it a real person? Is it a real browser? It's looking at a user agent, and it gives them a challenge. They may not even have to check anything, but Cloudflare has enough information to kind of test and say, should they pass or not? And because a lot of bots use this, that's why I decided to block it. But I did it as a managed challenge, I should say, rather than a block, because there may still be someone out there with an old browser that legitimately wants to get to my site. The challenge will test them, and then if they answer, they can get in. So instead of using a CAPTCHA, it's just a different way of checking to see who they are. So the other one is a threat score. This is something that Cloudflare has, and you can see I'm not really getting any challenges here. But this threat score is the value that's assigned that Cloudflare says up 0 through 10, average, everyday, happy, normal user. 10 through 39 might be a little bit dodgy. 40 and above, which I'm looking for greater than 39, 40 and above are kind of bad actors. Those are people you really don't want. So if anybody like that comes here, I just want to go ahead and challenge them to see who they are. And those are the ones I've got. Now we can see what happens over here. If we look at events, you can see some of them are my custom rules. This one is my IP address where I just tried it after I deactivated myself. So it definitely blocked me. And it's blocking some other ones that are probably trying to get to a page they shouldn't get to. So like this one, someone's trying to get to admin-ajax. Now, I've got a rule for /wp-admin. That should be sufficient to block this as well. But I kind of wanted to watch this for a while, and that's why I put in a OR selection just on the admin Ajax. So this is something you can try and determine for yourself. If you want to overload the rule, it's still within one rule, so I figured it doesn't hurt me to try that. And that is really what you do. And then we've got the bot fight mode. So as I mentioned, if we come over here to bots, you just turn on bot fight mode and it will challenge known bots. And I'm using this rather than WordFence or other WordPress plugins. The reason that I'm doing that is because, one, it gives me some capabilities that those plugins don't give you. Two, these folks are never getting to my web server if they're blocked. It's all happening at Cloudflare's level since they're hosting my DNS. And because they are kind of like the largest DNS and internet provider out there, they get a lot of experience and information on what's good and what's bad. So that's something that I'm not getting from WordFence, or what I used to use was iTheme security. Now, there are things that those tools do that I'm not getting. So for example, two-factor authentication. But I've decided I don't need that because they can't even get to the login page. So in other words, it's not like I need a peephole to see who's at the front door if nobody can get to the front door except for me. So there are still ways that you can do two-factor authentication if you want to, but I've decided that for right now, I'm not using that because unless you're at my IP address, you're not going to get here. And spoofing a IP version 6 IP address is a lot harder than doing a version 4. So I think I'm pretty comfortable with that. Now, they do have other security things over here where you can set up some of their rules and have a certificate downloaded, which is kind of what I prefer. It is called Zero Trust. I'm not going to get into that in this video, but Zero Trust basically means that your device as well as you get authenticated before you get in. So that is kind of what I'm looking at here for protecting my site from photo theft. It is primarily hosting over here. So let's go ahead and go back to Cloudflare. Let's say that I want to show you how to add your domain. So you can sign in for free. You create an account, and then it's going to ask you to add an application, which is really a website. So let's say add a website. You got to put in a domain. I'm going to come over here to this account, and let's say that I decided that I want to add Suburbia Tech. So this is on Namecheap. It may be different on GoDaddy or other registrars, but let's go ahead. We're going to click, or I'm going to highlight and copy this so that way I don't misspell something. And I will go ahead and put in continue. And it's going to give you a few steps. The first thing it's going to want to do is say, do you want one of these paid plans? I'm not using a paid plan. You get all of these features for free. If you want to do that, you can always upgrade later if you decide you need more protection, but start off for free and see how things are working for you. So once you do that, then it's going to go ahead and prompt you for a few things. So you can see it's scanning for existing DNS records. It's pulling that from your domain registrar or wherever you have your domain name service set up. And this is just at a parking garage, so I'm going to leave that. I'm going to click continue. And then you need to change your name servers, which is the authoritative site that says, here's where you look for DNS information. You can see that there are a couple here from Cloudflare. Now, these names will vary depending on when you signed in. They'll use different first names of a sort. So you come back to your domain, and you can see down here, name servers, I've got their basic DNS. But you can also come to custom DNS, and that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a way to set up name servers. If you're not certain of how to do that, you can find out who your registrar is. They'll have documentation on how to do it for like GoDaddy and other ones. But I'm just going to come over here. I'm going to click to copy. So there's the first one. All you really have to do is find a way to put in custom DNS name servers. So I'll copy those. I will paste them in here. And then for Namecheap, you just save it with that green check mark. There might be a different save button or something like that on GoDaddy or different services. So now I've added those. It's going to take a while. So it says it could take up to 48 hours. And over here, you can check your name servers. And it'll take a while. For this one, it says up to 24 hours. I've found that it actually happens faster than that, but give yourself a day or so to migrate your DNS. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and continue, and it'll give you this quick start guide. And basically all you're going to do is accept everything it shows you. Do you want to automatically rewrite HTTPS from HTTP, which is not secure, to the secure version? It's on by default. You click save. The next one is always use HTTPS. Turn that on, click save. And then this one broadly is just going to speed things up by adding some compression to your website. So you can also click save and then click finish. And now you're done. So I'm not active on Cloudflare yet because the DNS still needs to propagate. So as we said, that could take 24 to 48 hours. I suspect it'll probably happen sooner. But you can come down here to Scrape Shield. And there's a hotlink protection. It is off by default. Turn it on. The email address obfuscation. Basically, if you put your email address on your web page, there are bots and harvesters that'll come along and scrape them up, and they'll probably add you to spam lists. You can turn that off, and this is off by default by using Cloudflare. So that way humans can see it, but the bots don't see it. And then you go over to security, and you can start adding firewall events in your WAF. You can come down to bots. You can turn on bot fight mode, which seems to be on by default. And then as events start happening, obviously none have happened yet because it's still propagating. But let me show you again, if we look at a different website, let's say that we look at my Orlando local website, I've got a number of things. So there's hotlink protection happening there. I've got different rules that people are trying to get to places. And it shows the IP address of the folks that are attacking you. And not everything is an attack. The managed challenge is for the ones that you're not sure about. But hotlink protection again. So like I did a review of a local restaurant called Kiki's Breakfast Cafe, and that's a post header. So people are just taking different little things. And Kiki's Florida pancakes. So different things from that blog post. They've probably stolen the entire blog post and are using not only my words, but my images. So this is blocking them, at least from the images. And if I want to, now that I know that they're doing that, I could probably go find them, find out where the post is, and just block them altogether from getting access to my sites. So anyways, that is it in a nutshell. As I said, this happens on the edge before they ever get to your server. You can stop people from hotlinking so they're not stealing your photos by hotlinking to them. They're not stealing your bandwidth and your server resources. It is free. It is very effective. And I hope you'll give it a try. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Have you tried using Cloudflare? Have you had any problems with it? I have not, but sometimes things like this might get a little bit confusing. You have a lot of options over here for speed and caching, which we didn't touch on, and I don't want to get into too much over here. But as far as protecting your images and protecting your website, I think this is an excellent way to go. It's free, and it does more than just protect your photos. It protects your entire site. Hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you again in the next video.